Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Chuck E. Cheese Skyliners, about what you would expect. It's kind of like a shoots and ladders, roll and move kind of game. There are some like obstacles where you can get stuck in a circle, you go down the wrong slide, and you're kind of moving around. It's a race game to get to the end with Chuck E. Cheese established. Now, I'm not sure this was sold in a store or in the Chuck E. Cheese location itself, but you did get some free tokens with it when it came out. So I'm assuming this is on Toys R Us, and then you would go to, they would try to drag you to Chuck E. Cheese with those free tokens, right? Sure, why not? $20 game, I guess, or whatever it was. You get $8.75 in tokens. That's a pretty good bargain. It's a simpler game, but I'd probably rather play this than something like Shoots and Ladders or some of those introductory games. So it does have a market for the younger gamers. My kids have always loved Chuck E. Cheese. Having a game based on it's pretty cool. It's colorful. It's got the characters. It's a win for that market. Is this something that's going to wow you? Of course not, but I don't think you went into that expecting that. So it's a keeper for the younger kids. If you don't like Chuck E. Cheese, there's really no reason to get this game. But if you do have a little Chuck E. Cheese fan in the house, this will be appealing to them. So the IP is going to drive this game more than the mechanisms, of course. So keeper for us, because my little guy likes Chuck E. Cheese, and he'll like to play the Chuck E. Cheese game. But there's not a whole lot here more than that. Here is Chuck E. Cheese Skytubes, the board game. It's kind of like those old Milton Bradley bigger box games. It's not by Milton Bradley, but it has the same size box here. And you get 35 free game tokens. That's nice. Open up, you're going to see a lot of air in here. You're going to get these little standees. You're going to have Jasper, Munch, Helen, and Chucky. And they come in these little stands that you can set up. And they're double-sided, which is kind of nice. You're going to have some cards. These are cheaper, but not terrible for mass market games. They're okay. There were going to be a lot of like go back a space, go forward a space. They have a little cute artwork on them, etc. And then you're going to get the board. The board is nice. It's kind of thick. Those old Milton Bradley ones has a spinner built into it. You can see it's very colorful, etc. that you're going to have in here. So this is what you're going to have as you're going through. You're going to have a place for your cards, etc. over here, and you have a start and a finish. So very basic, elementary looking game, but the components are nice and it's very colorful. As for the rules, I don't have the rules assigned to this game. I had to look them up online and print them out. They're very simple to understand. It's a spin and move type game, so not a whole lot going on here as you could utilize, but the rules themselves are very simple. You probably can pick it up in just a couple minutes. So the game is very easy. You're going to put the board out, shuffle up the deck of cards and put them there, and then put your people here that you want to be on the start. The goal of the game is to go through all of the tunnel and be the first one to get to the finish. It's very easy. On your turn, you're going to spin the spinner and move the number of spaces. If you happen to land on a space with a person, you will turn over the card and do whatever it says. Go forward one space, etc. If you ever stop your movement on a space with an arrow, like Shoots and Ladders, you'll go down. And sometimes you can go backwards. If you go all the way around, you come down. Sometimes you have a big old slide and you get down in here. And then the first person to get to the finish is the winner of the game. That's how you play. So it's a standard spin and move, a little bit of Shoots and Ladders, and some luck with these cards. And that's Chuck E. Cheese Skytubes. Who should buy this game? This is going to be strictly for, if you're going to get Shoots and Ladders, this is probably a better version of it, or most definitely. If you've got a Chuck E. Cheese fan in the house, or you're planning a trip to Chuck E. Cheese, this could kind of whet that appetite a little bit when you get home to kind of relive. Now, the ball traps and the slides really aren't at the Chuck E. Cheese's anymore, so this is a product of its time. But it is still a little bit of a fun game in that Shoots and Ladders, Snakes and Ladders kind of atmosphere. Much better games on the market than this, but I think the IP is really driving this one, so your mileage may vary. A little bit of a keeper for us, but it might be more nostalgia than anything else.